list of guests from Friday, as an example. And then, of course, you bring it to the current day with cell phones, change the world. But guess what? Nobody's talking anymore.
Right. They have trouble talking. They have trouble coming into a room and sitting down, and you haven't seen them for ages. And they just keep looking at this little plastic box, and you feel real
It's gonna do magic
irritated.
things.
Yeah,
And look at the level of
irritating.
writing that they have.
They're being made.
Oh, they can't write.
They don't know how to.
They don't know how to write a thank you
literature.
note.
You know, that, forget that.
Some writer said.
The thank you notes are abysmal, and they're all at the top of the page, one
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
you know.
Things or.
Can't
they
believe it.
manage-
Or you don't even
Right.
get who's in, yeah.
They're managing us.
Us, yeah.
So my son was coming back for the summer and he was trying to schedule a rental car. And, one of the things with rental cars that you have to be very, very careful about is, making sure it's unlimited mileage. So he's coming from Colorado.
Right.
And I said, you better double check to make sure it's unlimited mileage. And he goes, well, it doesn't say anything online about that. And I went, oh, well, that's interesting. Here's the thought. Why don't you call them? And he goes, nobody calls. He goes, I'm not going to call. Why would I call? Everything's online.
No, it's not.
I'm like, pick up the phone and call. If not, and he argued with me.
Yeah.
And now it's a joke. Oh, we
Yeah.
better call them,
Yeah.
He's 24 also, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love that age. I have two that age. They're twins.
But it's nobody calls it people anymore.
No,
Yeah,
they're-
you're not gonna, why would you call? It's all. So
Call
guess what
online.
happened? He couldn't find it online and guess what happened?
He doesn't have unlimited miles.
No, he called.
Oh, he did.
He goes, yeah, I went ahead and called it.
Oh.
Yeah, I took care of the unlimited mile. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
And I said, how long did that take?
Yeah.
2 minutes. Yeah. So anyway, okay, are we ready to get the party started?
Yes, we
Sure.
are broadcasting and recording, so we're set.
It has begun.
We have
Call to order, please.
Harold,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Kathleen, or sorry, Karen, I looked at it.
Yes.
Kathleen, and Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, any public participation?
Well, there's no one here. They do have the ability to be watching on YouTube, so we may have some people actually observing that way, but there's no one who has put in any requests to address the board. And to my knowledge, we will not be having any managers joining us today. It's last week of summer reading program, so some things
Right.
going on in other
They're
branches.
busy.
And I was getting ready to ask, where's my buddy Heather?
She actually took a little time off because while I was gone, she had a bunch of stuff.
She had a
going
lot
on.
of fun.
She had, yes, yeah.
Oh,
And I
poor
said,
Heather.
oh, so this is, you're figuring out why it is whatever I plan to accomplish, I don't get done because it's all that just dumps on you anyway.
I think she got hit with it almost in the first day that you were gone. It was like.
I got phone calls while I was on the road, so yeah, it was bad.
And then Lynn, for clarification purposes, all the meetings are in person now, so we don't have the option to Zoom in for whatever reason.
You can Zoom in, but if you Zoom in, you are not part of the quorum and you cannot vote. You can.
Observation
listen,
only.
And you could give feedback too, but if basically you're not there.
Yeah, because those days are over.
And so Barb was actually mentioning a
were
little
talking about that
bit
before you got
earlier,
here.
it would be a really good thing if members of public boards contacted their representatives and senators and let them know how important it was to have that as an option.
Right.
So, yeah, things have changed forever.
They had,
And, not only did we learn how to work from home successfully,
Mhm.
but we also picked up on how Zoom and
Mhm.
video calls can save the day and can be a good tool.
absolutely.
So we were doing, have you heard of the Zoom happy hours?
Yes, yes.
Did I tell you this?
I think you told us last time, maybe.
Yeah, that was another big deal that came out, and things don't have to be the same. You know, we have options now. Okay, approval of the minutes for June 2021 regular meeting.
I'll move that we approve the minutes for June 2021.
A second.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes,
Mark.
Yes.
Short, and sweet tonight.
Lynn, correspondence?
Yes, correspondence. We have a few items of correspondence. The Public Library Fund continues to come in strong. We're very happy about that. As long as it's going to do that, we will take it. No complaints. As you can see, at this point at the state level, the PLF revenues are about 22% over and above what the Department of Taxation actually had estimated. So that's good news. It can keep on coming. And of course, I guess the better news is that in the state budget, they did keep libraries at the 1.7%. So that was really important to help with our stability. We received a thank you note from the Brown County Chamber of Commerce for our participation in their annual golf outing, and we also got some advertisement out of it and sponsored, was one of the lunch sponsors. So we had our name on a cart, and, all around on banners. So that was nice. And I believe I also included a copy of the cover letter to the commissioners or the Budget Commission for the budget submission that we made to them. I believe that I've stated previously that the Budget Commission chose not to have an actual in-person library meeting, but we still have to submit the budget, and it gives them a little guidance so that they aren't just looking at numbers without some context. And then as far as other things going on at Ohio Library Council, they are actually going to do a post-budget webinar to make sure that libraries know exactly what implications there were in the budget bill, because sometimes the legislators throw in things other than just dollars and cents into that budget bill. So if we missed anything that got shoved in there without any real warning, we'll find out about that. And I suspect that it will be a good time for librarians to remind Ohio Library Council that we really would like to have the Zoom option for meetings, and so whatever they can do to help facilitate that. They're actually planning their convention and expo in person for mid-October in Columbus. I'm not sure yet who's going to be able to go, but somebody or some buddies will attend that. And then there is, this is crisis communication webinar on September 9th. That's through a group called Hennis Communications. They've done a number of local seminars as well in the past, really good about what do you say, how do you say it, when do you say it. So, in the event that there are things, I'm sure it's going to be what can we learn from having gone through the pandemic, and what you need to get out to your audience. And then just for the record, the state of emergency was lifted by the governor officially on the 18th. So if there are going to be financial or other implications, that will be the official cutoff date in the state of Ohio for any kinds of programs that might be connected to it in terms of paperwork and all of that. So, and that really is about all I got.
Thank you, Lynn.
You are welcome.
On to Miss Sarah and the financial investment report.
Okey-dokey. Appropriation summary for June 2021. Our salaries for the month of June were at $59,264. That was up around $3,500 from May. Employee fringe benefits, $14,585, up about $1,400. Purchased and contract services, $22,972. That was up 7,500. I think that has to do with being starting a new fiscal year, paying a bunch of contracts. and-
State fiscal year, yeah.
and stuff like that. Supplies, library materials, supplies and others. Let's see, library materials were $15,423. Let's see, supplies, $1,886, and then other was $15.99. Bringing our month-to-date expenditures at $127,412. Bank reconciliation report, we had $100,222 in receipts, $127,751 for payments. I had an adjustment of $323. That was a Friends adjustment. We received some money from the Friends. I can't remember which Friends. They all run together
I
since
know.
Amber has two branches now. I know it was either Sardinia or Fayetteville. Bank balances. One thing I did want to mention for the bank balances, I was notified from People's Bank about 2.5 weeks ago that they were acquiring a bank in Ripley. Long story short, our bank account ended up being a duplicate bank account. So lucky us, our bank account for People's Bank changed effective yesterday. So that's been quite a process to make sure every vendor that we have that has our bank account, that it's all been fixed. And so I had to order a new check. So I don't know what this will look like for the July reports, but I had to void 933 checks. Because that's how many checks we have.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Our account number for People's Bank changed. So
And why did it change?
because People's Bank acquired a bank from Ripley. I can't remember the institution, but through that process, we have duplicate accounts for somebody that's joining People's Bank. And our account number was I think fairly old, and we were missing some digits anyways. So they decided this is time for the Brown County Public Library to have a different account number. So
And updated.
Yes.
And everybody had to be changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even the federal government rate program
Yes.
with, you know.
Jill
yeah,
Hall,
that's-
all of our vendors. So some of them, it was as simple as going out to their website and hitting edit. Others, I've had to fill out forms and send paperwork. So that has been quite.
Sounds like a blast.
It was
Yeah.
great. And so it was effective yesterday. So we still have outstanding checks for the old accounts. And then they're like manually moving them in. It's been
Fun time.
been big fun.
But they've been very helpful.
They have been.
really good.
They've called me along the way every couple of days checking in. She called me yesterday, making sure, I was ready to go. And so it's been okay.
And they're covering a number of costs for
Yes,
supplies, like
they
the
paid
deposit
all of our
slips and-
deposit slips, our checks, they're gonna cover. They're gonna leave the old account open until September 30th, just for anything that maybe I missed or any, checks that haven't cleared, so.
That's good.
Yeah, so far it's been, it was overwhelming, but then it was like, oh, this is fine. Outstanding payments, I have one payment left for June, which is Raptor, so that'll cash on the old account and then they'll move it into the new. Let's see, general fund cash flow. Public library fund for June was 99,956, and kind of on the lines of what Lynn was talking about. PLF for June last year was only 61,000. So we're getting a lot more money, and you'll see in my quarterly report how much more we've gotten at this point versus last year. It's awesome. Other receipts, $249 for a grand total for the general fund of $100,206. I already talked about our expenditures with all the employee stuff. So that was $114,149, leaving our bank balance at $114,819. Cash summary by fund. All of the funds for June, the expenditures was $127,412. The spreadsheet, June 2021 reconciliation payments, we had $55,060 in payments. The June payroll was $29,762. The June, $28,302. The board share for the retirement, the OPERS was $8,129, Medicare, $811, health insurance, $5,493. And then you'll notice the local taxes, those were paid for the quarter. Making our total expenditures $127,412.
Is that a health insurance credit?
That's what the employee pays.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then that's what you guys, the board pays. This payment listing, any questions about the payments? You'll see, like I mentioned before, a lot of bigger payments this for the fiscal quarter, new year. Okay, all right, the last report, the quarterly report. So this is just comparing 2013 all the way to 2021 for the quarter. Let me get my ruler out. So public library fund, we're at 447,267 for the quarter. Last year, we were at 361,000. So we're up about $85,000 in PLF, which is awesome.
Well, and even if you ignore 2020, because
Yeah.
sometimes I just kind of block out that column and pretend that it didn't happen because it was so weird.
Compared to 19.
But even 2019,
Yeah.
you know, we're $50,000
Yeah.
ahead.
Yep.
So it's, I would just caution sometimes looking at
Yeah.
2020. Don't compare too closely to 2020.
Well, maybe I should have done a 3-year.
Yeah, no, you're.
Local taxes is up as well, about 25,000 compared to 2020. The homestead and rollback, we're at 9,841. That's down about 4,000. I think it might be timing. I think I'm probably due for some kind of payment.
I think that it's both timing and, if I am remembering correctly, when we did the last levy and it was officially a new levy because it was
yes.
on updated tax
Mhm.
rolls, I'm thinking that something changed
Okay.
about
Yeah.
rollback for levies that were new. Of course, this happened long enough ago, like we passed our first levy in 2009, and then we renewed it in 2014. And so since we renewed it, it all fell under that grandfathering, but I'm pretty sure laws changed and we may not,
So it may.
it may be staying
It may be
around
down.
that,
Okay.
9,000-10,000, whatever.
Good to know. Service provided to other entities, we're down about $1,200 for that one. Other receipts, we are down, and that's because we're fine free now.
Mhm.
So that's going to continue to be a lower number. So my total general fund revenue was $854,945. And then our salaries, employee salaries, $348,551. That's up about 27,000. Benefits, 87,779. That's up about 10,000. Library materials up about 6,700. Capital outlay, we're up. Other operating expenditures, we're at 100,555. That's up about 25,000. So all in all, I think we had a great first half.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, I would, if you want to just look at the bottom line of the expenditures and compare it with 2019, I think that might be
Yeah,
a
it's-
closer
Yeah,
comparison.
$43,406.
Just because 2020 was so weird, and particularly with the salaries,
Right.
because at that point in time, we
We had
had people
furlough.
furloughed,
Yep.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
And Lynn, what's up with the local taxes in 2013 being 462,000?
Okay, so, yeah.
I don't know the
No,
answer to that.
yeah.
Well, this is my recollection. Okay, so I believe in 2013, we were overpaid when they split the money between the two library systems. We were overpaid in 2013 and we had to pay it back out of 2014, in 2014. I believe that's the timing. So that's why it looks,
I mean, because that's a big number.
it is, it's.
I mean,
huge.
compared to the other years.
Right, right. And I can't imagine that the timing of the valuations or anything like that would have made that kind of a difference. So I think I actually had looked at that myself and thought, I think that's the year that
I'll let that one fall off next year.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Eventually it'll roll away, yeah.
Okay, we need a motion.
I second.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes. Okay, on to the librarian's report, starting with the building report and statistics.
Okay, so while you're all asking me questions about statistics, I'm sending around some pictures since I can send them around for people to look at of summer reading program things going on. Questions, thoughts, you need clarification? Unfortunately, I don't have any managers on the line to, help with any real detail that I might not know, but
Well, there's something that kind of stands out. Teen program's not going well. Everybody trying to get back to normal, moving past COVID and teen fun coming back. That's interesting.
yeah. I will say that I think we were generally surprised that we had as many people coming back as quickly as we did, except for the teens, of course, was a noticeable one. But I also thought about that, and we were talking about kids earlier and ages and stages of what they're doing. And I just wonder if teens aren't really first getting just back to being with each other and, that kind of thing, rather than going and, library is probably not the first place they think of anyway. I know, but go figure. But teens are always a challenging group to attract and to compete with other things that are, on their list of important things.
How about just in general?
Yeah, that's,
They're just a challenge all the way around.
So we do have one more teen focused program. I think it's this Saturday that it's or Friday night, a teen trivia that's a system-wide instead of just one branch. Has it been?
Not
No, not yet, if you wouldn't mind passing that along. So, hopefully they've got some people signed up for that. I know that they were planning on doing that actually electronically before everything was, loosened up and people were allowed to do things in person. So, yeah, I just love the story about the camel. I thought that was just fabulous. People were stopping and what, camel in Georgetown, Ohio? That was kind of neat. But yeah, I think it's been a real challenge for staff because we were used to things a little bit at a slower pace and not so much face-to-face all at once. And then boom, summer reading program hit and there were just people all over. And I brought some samples of the buttons that they've made to give. So, those are extras. If you want to keep one, feel free, but all kinds of buttons for everything that they did, whether it was reading or participating in a program. And when they actually met different benchmarks, read so many minutes, they got to get those as well. So in addition to other prizes, but apparently that's a
great to
big
see
hit.
so well.
Lanyards and kids just filling their lanyards with buttons. So it worked really well. Although I have heard some staff say, I don't want to hear the B word ever again. No more buttons, so. But yeah, they're doing a great job, and I am sure that our youth associates are going to really need a break when it's all over this week. They're going to take some downtime and go back to business. So, and then if there aren't any other thoughts or questions about the building report, we can talk about numbers, how our usage is being reflected in the actual statistics. So a couple of things that jump out at me are Wi-Fi hotspots. Over the last several months, we've seen the monthly average of hotspots go up. It was maybe 75 to 80 before, and now we're hitting 95 to 100 per month. I don't know whether that is because people need them more. There's always that traveling, and do they want to take them with them if they're traveling during the summer? Be careful there, Karen. Don't
Yes,
get
yes,
yourself
yes.
tangled up.
I remember seeing it.
Nothing? Oh, nope.
It's just, yeah, you're good. I don't. want
Good show.
you to fall. Okay, good. Excellent. Or the fact that we've actually been upgrading the hotspots. And so while some were a little bit older versions, if we had any trouble with them, we just contacted Verizon and they sent us a newer version. So if they're working better, they're more for people to actually check out. So might be a combination of things. And then if you look at the bottom of that first block and look at the total circulation, for the first time since, I can really recall, we've got Mount Orab and Sardinia neck and neck for total circulation. Now, this is maybe an anomaly. This is summer reading program, first one we've had since pandemic, with Georgetown then and Fayetteville, coming in after that. And I don't like to, I don't like competition here. That's not what this is about, but it's just an interesting thing to see because normally it's Mount Orab, Georgetown, Sardinia. Sometimes Sardinia is close to Georgetown and then Fayetteville, and it's shifted a little bit, at least at this point. So I'm going to be watching that one. And then kind of the same with the programs. So if you look down at the total for the programs, the attendance, here's another. Okay, so Mount Orab again is busier, but Fayetteville and Georgetown are neck and neck for program attendance. So it just interesting little twists on what we had seen in the past. Now coming up, we are going to have a patron purge. I just got a notice from SEO saying that they'll be doing that again. And of course, we took care of some of those things when we did our fine free, so I don't know what to expect from that'll be in August. I'm sure that will happen. And we are also refining our process for those e-cards, those library cards that are going to be just for digital resources. SEO has upgraded their software and now can do things that we really had to do ourselves to make sure that people weren't duplicating records or duplicating accounts. So we're going to have SEO take over that registration process. There will be an immediate assignment of a library card. And we also thought we'd go ahead and change the name to digital cards instead of e-cards. So that's minor. I don't know that we're going to see bigger numbers, but it will just reduce the amount of effort we have to put in with our own staff to manage that. And of course, digital items, check themselves back in and there are no fines involved. So, for us, it was a no-brainer to have SEO work on that. And then just looking at the number of appointments and walk-ins, it's really nice to see numbers that are, roughly 1,500 and above. That's a good climb to see people coming in. And we did make a concerted effort to educate our patrons that, curbside service really is a case-by-case a need thing, not just a want thing. So because we don't have the staff to be doing that now that people are actually back in the building and we're servicing people that way. I mean, it's the same as you see when you go to a restaurant and they have their signs taped over saying, come in for service or whatever. Yeah, to pick up your order. So any questions about any?
I want to go back to the donation sheet.
Oh, sure.
I noticed here that there were 332 DVDs that came in from the Dollar General store. I didn't even know that they had DVDs.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Is that in Georgetown or?
that one was in Georgetown, yes. I believe they probably were deciding that they weren't going to have DVDs anymore and decided that the library was the place to put them. I don't know, I truthfully haven't looked around any of my local dollar stores for that item, so I don't know if I would have missed it or not, but I know that places like Walmart still will have bins of DVDs in their, their electronics areas and that kind of thing. So, yeah, the fact is our internet generally in this area is not good enough for everybody to stream
No.
service.
Yeah.
Even if, even if affordability is not an issue. And so there's still they still get checked out of the library.
I would assume in the rural communities that that's what the case is.
Yeah, it's just gonna be, it's it's just like when things converted from, when we went away from cassettes, to CDs, and VHS, to DVDs, to Blu-ray, to whatever. It's just a little bit slower adoption cycle in our area.
I agree.
Mhm.
And then the next question I have is the computer with monitor, keyboard and mouse was at the UAN phasing out one computer system.
Yeah, I went from a desktop to this laptop.
Good old state of Ohio. Yeah. I think we've already put that other computer to use.
Yep.
I think they needed a circulation.
Was it time for them to switch out? or-
Yes. Yeah.
Every 2 years you get a new computer, and the opposite year you get a printer. So in 19 or 20, I got a printer, and 21, I got a computer. Well, I guess maybe it was the fall of 19. Pandemic slowed everything down.
Yeah, hard to keep track of. But yeah, they regularly, and I was thinking it was roughly a 3-year computer
Yeah.
cycle, but maybe it's 2. But yeah, it's nice because it does help us, whether it's putting a new CPU to manage like the public printing or circulation desk computer. Yeah, I think that's what we ended up using.
Yep.
The one for. Very handy.
Okay, Lynn, how about some announcements?
Sure. So for announcements, you may have had and I have some paper copies if you didn't print what I sent and you want to look at any unique recents. So the first thing I've been keeping facilities at the top of the list, just so that you have an idea of what's going on. And yeah, we have had a lot of things going on with our property in the last month or thereabouts. We did have storms in the middle of June. There were a lot of people, there were several storm systems that came through, but the one June 18th did cause some damage. So we had Keith go through and do some assessments and some estimates, and we had our insurance agent come and they assigned an appraiser or adjuster, I guess is the correct term, to come and look at things. So we could decide whether this is something we really want to file as a claim or not, because it looks like it's going to be a total of about $2,500 worth of fixes, which to me is not worth filing a claim about, because we have $1,000 deductible. And I'm not, when you balance out the, having a claim on your policy, I don't know, what would you say to that, insurance
I
man?
was going to say, Ms. Lynn, you're always welcome to contact me on my cell phone if you run into that situation. So you are not going to want to turn in small claims. You're not. And really, I hate to say this, but the way to look at commercial insurance, it's really there for the big stuff.
Okay.
And the small stuff, we should try to eat if we can.
Yeah, and like I said, roughly $2,500 is not a big deal.
And,
Yeah.
if I can make another suggestion,
Mhm.
You don't want to involve the insurance company. at all. Because-
Call you, not them.
Call me,
Okay.
not them, because what people don't understand too is you may say, oh, I've got Keith to look at it and he gave us an estimate and let's call our insurance agent and let's go ahead and turn a claim in to see. No, it's still going to be on your record
Okay.
and you don't want that on your record. So just for future reference, we go to Keith, we get an estimate when you and I have that discussion, and we don't really need to involve the insurance agent and
Okay.
the insurance company.
Gotcha.
And you know, that's easy peasy for me.
Because I can make a phone call without having to be.
If you
prodded about
You're
it.
not
I mean, if I
afraid to make a
happen to
phone
have my
call.
phone with me,
If you weren't here for the conversation about his son, yes, looking things up online
Mhm.
and not wanting to call. So there's that. I will say that the Fayetteville issue actually was a real challenge because one of the trees was right on the front, what is that? East Street, right? And that, in our parking lot, and Amber was going to do something about it, and she went in the next day and it was already gone. Somebody from the village had just gone ahead and cut it up and removed it.
Wow.
Well, good.
That was nice.
Which was fabulous. So I said, you need to track down who that was and, big thank you. But then the tree line that's between the library and the house that's on the right as you are looking at the front of the library, a tree fell and fell partially into the edge of our parking lot. So, I'm digging through our property maps and we contacted the neighbor. Amber had a number of conversations with her, and the neighbor's understanding was that that tree line was the property line. And so it was pretty much, 50-50. And so I said, well, and we looked, I looked for and Heather actually now traipsing, looking for the posts and all of that.
Yeah.
And even the neighbor's insurance person could not find.
Yeah, a lot of
Property
times those
markers.
are difficult.
So the neighbor, I guess, was very concerned about it, and she just decided to have her insurance company take care of the tree. Because I said, we'll split it 50-50, if that's the way, I'd be happy, we'll step up
Yeah.
and pay for it, but she insisted.
That's great.
good.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it was very nice.
That's another thing for the insurance guy.
Yeah,
And I've done hundreds of those. So if it's an act of God and wind blows a tree over into someone else's property, there is no liability there at all. So most commercial policies aren't going to provide coverage for trees that fall. And homeowners insurance companies, it's going to be a small dollar amount. So usually it's best to just take care of it in a neighborly way.
well, that's why I said, we'll just split it with you, and
That was very nice.
But I also thought to myself, what a great opportunity for us to make sure that we know where our property lines are. But
Yeah.
that one is one, I think we're going to have a surveyor come.
Another.
Got an idea?
Another-
I'm getting school today.
So where does the act of God begin and negligence start? So as property owners, if you see a tree that's dead or dying, if a neighbor alerts you to a tree that's dead or dying and you choose to do nothing about it, that's our liability. So something else to keep in mind.
Okay.
Lynn, I'll make a suggestion that they might have where those lines are supposed to be at the recorder's office.
Yeah, I would think so.
They might know where those are supposed to be. I know that for our township, Chuck McCafferty, and I can give you his phone number. He has maps in the office up there at the township office. And he can tell you what, where the pins are supposed to be and stuff like that. But
Well, and I have all of that, because I've got a
Oh, okay.
deed and the maps,
Oh.
where there's, and
okay,
Yeah, the whole key to those situations are gonna be who owns the tree, whose property is
Yeah.
it on.
yeah.
all right.
So that's why I thought,
Yeah, I don't know,
it's probably
then.
worth our while to spend the several $100s and have a surveyor come and, really remark
And put
them.
new
Well,
pins in.
especially if you have a lot of trees.
Yeah,
Yeah, between those properties, there are
There are a lot of
the whole
trees.
line of trees. So that was, I think, the most involved of all of the storm damage issues. But then, and this was after the 18th, this was more around the 4th of July, those storms, I wasn't here to experience them, but I was told about them. Georgetown had water come in on the lower level in the children's area. So this was a foundational thing. This was not a through the roof. And I seem to recall that sometime in the last 24 years, we had that happen once before. So if it's a matter of, just saturation and then nothing more would take, hold it outside. So this is even a bigger reason for us to contact the consultant who will look at the exterior envelope before we do any
on
renovation.
silent.
And that will be a non-insurance issue.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So nothing here is insurance related. And actually the really nice thing, and I did put that in there, is that our custodial contractor went ahead and his freebie carpet cleaning took care of all of that for us. They are very nice. And I'll pass this one around just because you might want to see the pictures. Poor Sardinia, talk about teenagers, right? Had nothing to do. Sardinia got vandalized,
Oh,
shaving
no.
cream
Oh,
all over the front, chip bags and pop cans and pieces of plants in the book drop.
oh, no.
So,
Typical bored kids.
well, and
Having kids.
yeah,
Back in
and the police, the Sardinia police did say that they had been having some trouble in Sardinia with that. So it wasn't just us. And the staff did go ahead and got some guidance from our custodial contractor about how to best clean it up so that things wouldn't have lasting damage. So just another one of those things that just happened, to take place while I was gone. And Heather got an education. As far as community engagement things that are going on, I did let the chamber know that I was declining any nomination to remain in the role of president. I made that official, and I certainly don't mind staying on the board. I think that'll be important. And also, I could, if they need somebody to fill like the chairman of the board role, which is kind of an honorary thing anyway, I don't mind being appointed to that, but it's time for somebody else to do it. And then other things going on, law library, where I'm not saying there's any, news on that list. There's really been nothing going on because summer seems to be kind of a downtime for a lot of organizations. But the law library will be looking at its contract with us, the public library, at its next meeting in September. Their revenues are really down because they get their money from mostly from traffic fines and that kind of thing. And in 2020 and even now, there's not a lot of that going on. Next week, GRIT, the Growing Rural Independence Together Through Jobs, is having a library-specific meetings to see how we might support their focus on helping adults getting back into the workforce, and particularly those who are have, I don't know the correct terminology, but who are leaving incarceration and maybe have been through some kind of substance abuse rehabilitation. That seems to be a big place where people are struggling to be actually considered for jobs. And then the other couple on the list, those are ones that are pretty much run by people in the education field. And so summertime is their time off. Nothing really new in terms of our funding. We're still working on the grants, but the number 5, the interlibrary loan service, that was something the state library runs this contract. They had planned for a change from Priority Dispatch, who was doing the deliveries, and moving it to a company called Stat Courier. Now, Stat Courier only does libraries. They do libraries all across the nation. So they at least are better prepared for our needs and protecting our materials. But the transition has been not terribly smooth. The days that we were supposed to get deliveries, for example, Georgetown is a Monday, Wednesday stop cycle, and they wanted to come, they said they were coming Tuesday, Thursday. Well, Georgetown is not open on Tuesdays, so that just doesn't work for us. And the driver is only doing what they're told they're supposed to do, and so he's only coming on Thursdays. And so there are bumps to be worked out, but I think that already my personal observation is that the drivers are more respectful. They come in and check in with you. They want to make sure that you're getting everything you need. They've got totes specifically made to handle the materials. So, it's like anything transition. If it was software and we were changing our software, people would be tearing their hair out. So, but
is this a true third party, or is it an organization of the state?
It's a true third party.
Okay.
Yeah. They also, I believe they do Georgia, and one of the Carolinas, they do.
Does a stat stand for something?
I don't know. I know I've seen it capitalized, but I do not know if it stands for something.
Are we at the point where there's enough staff moving between the buildings that could be picked up?
Well, we're doing some temporary things right now while there are these little bumps, but I would say that we do not consistently have people going between all of them. We might be able to pick up some, maybe Sardinia to
Marion.
Sardinia to Mount Orb, but that might be once a week.
Yeah.
And, and that's where we have to kind of, just not consistent enough right now to be able to put it all on staff. And from a liability standpoint, I'd rather have Stat Courier doing the deliveries than have our staff members out with their vehicles on a regular basis. Yeah. So is that the right answer?
Good answer.
All right.
Well, I noticed that Adams County is picking up between buildings because they already have a vehicle which is serving them.
Well, I had this grand idea, I think about 24 years ago, that we were going to get a Jeep Grand Cherokee for our delivery van. That was before most of the rest.
That didn't
Yeah, we currently don't have a commercial auto
No,
policy.
we do not have a commercial auto policy. I think we're right on that cusp. Could we justify having a vehicle for certain things? We probably could, but I just, the liability scares me, quite honestly, having to do that and then assigning people to drive and then get workers' comp issues when they're lifting things.
It's a lot, Lynn.
It is a lot. I'm too old for that stuff, Harold. What are you?
We didn't talk about the funding opportunities.
The funding up, so Millicron reached out to us, and we have a goal, there's a meeting set up early in August to regroup with some very specific kinds of things that we might do together. They're very interested, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, in some of the in 3D printing and providing a printer and supplies and training, because they've got people who know how to do this and doing workshops. So I think that might be the first thing that we do with Millicron. It seems to me that they're interested in a long-term, or at least ongoing for a while relationship. The Emergency Connectivity Fund, so that is federal money that is really focused on making sure that those who have to do education and work remotely have the ability to do it. So it's funding things along the lines of Wi-Fi hotspots for us to loan to patrons, and Chromebooks maybe that we can loan to patrons, that kind of thing. And they're running it through the E-rate program. So they had to create a new form. It's got its own form 471, and they just opened that window up. And we have until the middle of August to file it. And the way they're doing this is, instead of waiting until the window closes and then all the applications that they have, your organization is ranked based upon what the school lunch discount is, and also whether you are rural or urban, and then you fall into a tier. So I believe that we fall into the 5th tier. So people who got 90%, and are rural, they're in tier number 1. And so anybody who falls into that, they're going to look at those. And if it's a no-brainer, they'll fund those, and they'll just keep on going down the list.
So this money is coming through the state library then?
No, this one is actually coming directly from the federal government. And they're just using the E-rate platform to disperse the money. So it should work really well, assuming that there is enough money, by the time they get down to us, who was at a 70% discount rate, and we got bumped up a little bit because we're rural rather than urban.
So this funding comes through the user fees that we pay.
Yeah, the universal service fees and that, yes, absolutely. Or or it might be a separate pot of money that they did because of the COVID packages. So I think this is separate additional money that they put into it, but they're just, the government was actually smart, and they used a software platform that was already in existence for us to be able to apply and for them to distribute the money and make it happen quickly. I was really impressed. They did that.
They did something.
That's great.
Yeah, well, and so I look at this and I think, okay, it's a no-brainer for us, because a year's worth of hotspot charges are going to get 100% reimbursed. So they're not even going to do it at the discounted rate. If we qualify, and there's money left, they're going to pay at 100% reimbursement. So, yeah, so we looked at that, and we're also got a quote from Forward Edge, our IT consultant, for Chromebooks that we could lend out to patrons as well. So we'll see what happens. And then the outreach grant, the ARPA that's through the state library, that one I'm currently working on. The deadline is August 1st for that, so we don't have a lot of time, but that could be anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. And it really is for meeting people where they are now that we're in kind of different conditions. So it could cover anything from like a big, beautiful digital sign, on our out front, to, well, they don't want to cover the same thing that the ECF is covering, but there are a bunch of things. And so I've got a long list of stuff, and we've got quotes and built carts, and we'll see. And there's no match. There's no match. Even though it's LSTA money, there's no match because it's being subsidized by the
So there's
stimulus.
your opportunity to buy a vehicle.
Mhm.
There's a Jeep.
It's your Jeep. Still makes me nervous. So yeah, so that's that, of course, it's all coming in right now. Everybody wants to do everything now. So yeah, we're pretty busy behind the scenes making sure we can apply for anything that we can, are eligible for, but really that makes sense for us to be able to manage, because free money is like free kittens sometimes.
Wow.
Especially
Yeah.
with all those reports.
Yeah, with all the reports we have to do, so yeah, so it was a nice couple of weeks of vacation, but boy, we just hit the ground running.
And are we good with the announcements? Lynn?
I think I'm good with the announcements unless anybody else has any questions.
Are there any committee reports? Nope. Okay. Then we're going to move on to number 6, motion to approve policy updates. And the first one's going to be operational 4.7 loan periods.
Okay, so we were contacted by SEO to ask us whether we wanted to continue some of the changes we've made in loan periods temporarily during the pandemic to make things easier for people to keep out for longer. So the management team discussed all of this, and they would like to recommend that we do keep most of those temporary changes that we put in place. So for example, the browsing collection, and that's the items that are always here in this branch. So, when you're browsing, it's right there, the, new releases. Instead of a 14-day loan, making that a 28-day loan. Still no renewals because we want it back so somebody else can have it there browsed. Movies, actually, for some reason, we never split that up before, and we don't think that 28 days is necessary for movies, so we want to keep that at the 14. And then you can see the 472 and the 473, same thing. We had just increased the length of each loan, and you can see where I made some corrections to just to clarify, it was music CDs, not some other kind of CDs. And for some reason, we had never actually put electronic games in, but that actually did not change. We're leaving that one at 14 days with one renewal. 477, I had to add the library app because we now have a library app where people can renew their own stuff. So we put that in there. And then, of course, the very last one is related to the fact that we went fine free. And so, we really have found that things are circulating. We're not having people, there's not been an increase in people just not returning things. We have automatic renewal going on for people so that, if they do want to keep it longer, it automatically happens. So it seems to be working really well and is making it a lot easier for our frontline staff to actually handle materials. And so that's kind of the rationale behind it and some of that. I didn't know if there were any other questions.
Second. Go ahead.
Do you want to do the dress code and the same?
Let's go ahead and maybe,
Do separate?
well, I guess the pleasure of the board, if you want. Let's do them separate.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, who was the first?
Harold.
And then me.
Sorry,
That's okay.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion for B, personnel, 10.3 and 10.4 dress codes and summer reading program dress code.
So the increases are actually not drastic. So in the regular dress code, the management team, and they wrote you a nice little rationale there, what their thinking was behind all of this. So the first place where you see some changes, it really was just a rephrasing of what we already have in place. It doesn't change the actual content of what we're doing, you know, so 10.3.2 is kind of a change of our approach. I mean, we used to say no denim whatsoever. Of course, denim used to be really just, work clothes, but that's not the case. And some denim things look nicer than some things made of other stuff. So we thought that saying that it was acceptable if it adheres to all the other guidelines would be the best way to approach that, but still not, carpenter's pants and that kind of thing. And then they are suggesting adding in a weekly casual day at each branch. So this would be for each branch to choose which day they're going to have their casual day. Typically, it's going to be the day that the most activity is going on for patrons and most people are scheduled. It's not going to be flip-flopped from week to week. They're going to choose, whatever day it is. It might be Thursdays here. If Thursday is family program day, whatever. And so basically what we're asking is for that dress code to match the same thing that the summer reading program does, where you have a library team shirt, and you can wear jeans, and where you can wear athletic shoes. And then a little bit of an adjustment to the summer reading program is that instead of it just being the programs, specific program staff, it's everybody, because really everybody is participating, whether they're managing the traffic or taking care of the materials or whatever it is. So that is the rationale behind those proposed changes.
What's the difference between athletic shoes in 1.2 and athletic shoes in 3.3?
3.2 and 3.
Starts out with athletic shoes of a solid color.
So basically the 1.2 is kind of just defining what we say is okay for athletic shoes. We don't want you wearing your baseball cleats in. We don't want things that are, making noise and flashing lights, reasonable attire that's going to go with whatever the rest of your attire is. And then so we define it early on in the 3.1.2, and then we're just saying that, okay, you can wear these with, any other of the kinds of attire that you have. I suppose we don't really have to state athletic shoes again in 10.3.
Well, it's already covered up in
3.1.2. Right. And I think that might be the only place where it's duplicated. I'm just doing a quick scan of that to see if there was any other place.
It's down in these.
In the summer reading program. So we could eliminate where that athletic shoes is duplicated in those two places. In 10.3.3, we could just say they may wear library reading themed t-shirts and jeans. And then in 10.4.2, well, we could use the same, we could actually use the same sentence that we used in 10.3.3. All staff members may wear library reading themed t-shirts. Well, the current SRP themed t-shirt and jeans, but just remove athletic shoes. Would that be less confusing if we remove it from those other two places? Okay, so we can say 10.3.3 is and jeans and remove and athletic shoes. And 10.4.2 is all staff members may wear jeans with the current SRP themed t-shirts. And so we'll get rid of and athletic shoes in that 10.4.2. So two places we remove and athletic shoes.
With those changes, I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
Harold, Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes. Okay, on to number 7. I need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Ohio Means Job for 7/1/21 through 6/30 of 2023.
So this is just really a repeat of what we've already got in place. They do it on a biennial basis, renewing their memorandum of understanding. This is something that actually came from the state. Some years ago, there was a workforce committee, a workforce task force, something that basically said Ohio Means Jobs organizations have to have agreements with partner agencies. And so the Workforce Development Board that we are under, because it's their geographical districts, also includes Pike County and Adams and Scioto, yeah. So we're grouped in there with them, and all the other libraries have also signed on with this. And I had made a suggestion for a change, and you actually got the updated. They had said that at the very end, I think it was number 2, said we would post basically everything on our website. And I said, well, we aren't going to really post everything on our website that's yours. We'd be happy to have a link, and anything that you have, basically, ad ready, we'd be happy to share that on our social media, but we can't put some other agencies' stuff, all on our website, which is already full of things. So that wording reflects that kind of change that, yeah, we'll help, we'll share, but not everything on our website. So
I move.
I'll second.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes. Okay, number 8, need a motion to enter executive session to consider the employment of public employees.
I move.
I second.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
okay, I am going to stop recording, and I am going to turn off the broadcast. And my count confirms that. Let me stop the recording here.